episode 91, Fit for Life Radio. Today we have special guest, Ben Lengel.
Hello.
Benjamin.
Coach extraordinaire at Coastal Strength and Fitness and NKT Practitioner.
Hey.
Which is neurokinetic therapy.
That's right.
I thought it was neurokinetic technology. Ben's a cyborg.
He sells parts. So for those of you at home, you can Google it.
Mm-hmm.
But what we'll dive into that some. But in general, today's our OnlyFans episode.
Yep.
Feet edition.
Oh, yeah.
Foot fetish edition.
Foot fetish edition. So we're going to be talking about scratching the surface of feet, minimalist shoes, barefoot shoes. Like
why your feet are important.
Yeah, what's the deal? This was kind of spurred by I walk a lot around the neighborhood and, wear very flat, minimalist shoes and sandals. And I've, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, probably had 6 people, like family, strangers, random people in my neighborhood, like comment on my shoes. And literally it's almost the same thing every time. Like, those are interesting. Those look cool, but they have no support. Like, are they comfortable?
Every time, dude.
I couldn't wear those. I need an arch.
I need a big fat cushion to make sure that my feet are comfy.
That's where
you're going to get Ben's blood pressure up.
That's where it's great to have a podcast, because obviously you don't want to engage in this conversation with someone. It's just like, like for me, they're great. But in my head, I'm like, I want to dive in on why you need an arch support, why you need all this cushion. And ultimately it's because you've always had it, right?
Your feet are weak.
Yeah.
So typically, when we're kids, and for societal reasons, we have supposed to wear shoes and stuff. So right from the get-go, we're developing weak feet.
It's true.
And I always like the analogy. Something that stuck with me was you also think of your hands, right, and everything. How, since how you can use your hands. Could you imagine if you put
mittens
2-inch mittens on your hands when when you're a kid, and that's how they always were?
And then what can you do with your hands when you're 35 years old if they've been in these thick ass mittens the whole time?
Yeah,
nothing.
And that's what we do to our feet. Now, at the same time, it's a spectrum, right? And really, kind of like at this table. So like Ben will be
this is perfect,
barefoot all the time, like right now, and basically pushes it to
the extreme,
making society
food
tell
line.
him, hey, where's
Ben
your shoes?
Going to court with like a suit on, but no shoes.
Yeah. So but then, hey man, you got shoes, and he'll pull his shoes out and throw them on, right?
Yeah,
so he puts the onus on them. Whereas most people are probably going to be not on that end of the spectrum. So I would say I'm in the middle. So I am barefoot all the time at home and places where, when I can be, but then I'll wear minimalist shoes and sandals out, in general. And probably up to the most very formal events, right? I have a pair of dress suit regular shoes that I'll just wear, and because I rarely wear them.
Yeah, how often do we wear those?
But up to casual and everything. And the cool thing is with the minimalist shoes is they're getting a lot better looking, better options.
Oh my God, yes. I've been just dying because as far as the spectrum goes, I'm wearing Vans right now, which are they're a flat shoe, but there's more cushion, more support, and they're not as wide of a toe box. Mm-hmm. So there are compromises there. My minimalist shoes are, same ones Gary wears. They're super, wide toe box. They're flat. They're great. But I just love my Vans.
Yeah.
But there's a new company that's came out with some that we pre-ordered that I think are going to be dope.
Ooh.
It's a canvas minimalist shoe.
It looks like a Converse.
That I showed you the other day, right?
Yeah, I remember the company. What was the name?
Splay.
Splay.
Splay your toes.
Splay your toes.
But finding a casual shoe that's minimalist, because they always look like freaking clown shoes. Mm-hmm. Or always a weird color, or just have weird straps on them. You're like, what are these for? It's just so. And
I think maybe originally they thought this isn't a niche world, and we were going to be, and it probably came from the run, fitness world, and we're almost going to embrace that and be odd, but then they start to realize.
Remember the 5-finger?
The 5-finger. I had a pair of those.
So did I.
Yeah.
But I don't see many of those anymore.
Well, because
they're not cool.
No, they're not cool.
So
they're functional, but
scary looking.
Yeah.
And honestly, they weren't they're hard to put on. They
kind of hurt between your toes too.
Yeah. Whereas if you want to go that individual route, I think the sandals.
The sandals you have, I like those.
I think
just let them be.
I think the spectrum is made of movement. So barefoot, obviously, you have all planes of motion available to you. You can do anything you want with the foot. Wide toe box, you can move your forefoot around a lot better now because your toes can splay. And then in like a Vans where, it's still flat, it's good, but the amount of movement your foot is capable of.
It's limited.
They're very stiff too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're a stiff shoe, and like your toes are closer together in something like that.
So let's talk about, in general, like minimalist shoe, what they're trying to accomplish is basically being as close to barefoot as possible, which for most people is going to be good ground feel, tons of flexibility with the sole, and a wide toe box so your toes can splay out like they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. So Ben, you want to talk about, well, why does any of this stuff even matter?
Yeah.
And the foot in general, and because I know with your NKT stuff, the foot's very important, and a lot of things come back to it. So maybe just educate people on, hey, this is kind of how our foot's supposed to function, and then where the dysfunction of the foot, kind of some of the things it can lead to.
Cool. Yeah. And I'd like to also put out another name for a resource. His name's Gary Ward.
Ooh.
And
another Gary.
Do you feel vindicated?
I know. Our last podcast, we talked about the dearth of Garys. But anyway.
No, this one knows his foot. And he wrote a book called What the Foot, and he.
What a witty guy.
I know. You feel good?
I like this guy.
Yeah. So anatomy in motion. That's what you would look up. Anatomy in motion, and it will lead you to a bunch of resources on the foot and then how that works with the rest of your body. So really, the main thing about the foot is that it makes two shapes, and this whole thing about if your foot is stuck in a shoe, and that means that it can't make that shape, or with a ton of arch support is predisposed to one shape but probably can't go to the other side. The foot makes a shape when you're planting on it, when you're loading it, where the toes splay out, all of the arches separate, and it's basically like the rubber band that you're pulling, and then it creates all of the arches. They become rigid, and you fire off and propulse off of your foot. So the important part is that you're able to load your foot, and then it should be able to become strong, a rigid lever, and you should be able to propulse off of it.
So then originally, let's talk about where cushion shoes even came from. And they started with the running world, right? So I think people...
you're doing this
You're doing a lot of running, right, on hard surfaces that aren't natural, which then actually I would argue, and this is where there's always pros and cons of sport. It's probably helpful, right, to have that.
It is. It's like a knee brace.
But you're choosing, hey, I'm going to pursue this kind of sport that's not super natural, running on these hard surfaces for long periods of time. So that cushion helps absorb some of that impact. But then the problem is it got infiltrated into popular culture in all shoes, and then you're able to walk where you ever notice if you're not used to being barefoot, how you're more cautious of your steps because
Always.
It hurts to just smack you. You can't walk and run the way you can in a cushioned running shoe barefoot, which should be a sign, right?
I mean, arguably, just the stimulation of having to decide where you're stepping and feeling whatever you're stepping on. Like there's some extreme neurological benefits to that by itself. But I think it makes sense in the running world. I mean, or it makes sense with people who have high demand of their feet that, okay, this causes pain. I do still need to run this half marathon because that's my goal or whatever. So then you make that easier on yourself. Yeah. But that's the same thing with a power lifter who braces up their knees, their elbows to complete their sport. They should, they benefit.
But you don't wear them all the time.
But why are you doing it walking?
Yeah.
Why are you putting on your shoes to go to the garage?
Putting on knee wraps to walk to your car to go to work?
Yeah.
Right.
That's essentially what you're doing. Yeah. When you're throwing on these highly cushioned shoes for anything outside of really long distance running, right?
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
And then side note, the brand Ultra, Altra, they're a running shoe brand that they do have the cushion, but they still kind of have a zero drop.
Don't they have a wider
and
toe
a
box?
wider toe box, right? So those are great shoes for
Those are a
runners.
really good alternative for people, I think.
But now let's go back to, well, someone could be listening, and I get it too. Like a lot of people, it is a fashion thing, right? And people want, or they're used, so they want a shoe to look a certain way. So you may be thinking, well, it's just not worth it for me. Like you're saying this is how it's supposed to be, but what's the negative effect? Well, the negative effect is, well, with the bunched in toes, I mean, you'll see people develop hammer toes and bunions, and these, I mean, you end up having to have surgeries for those, and it impacts people's, I mean,
those surgeries are not fun.
It's walking, right?
And this is
so it's going to impact your life negatively. High heels, I mean, the effects on your gait, and then your hips and your shoulders.
Bingo. And that's the thing that I won't necessarily get crazy detailed on, but your foot pressures, the way that your body responds to specific points of the sole of your foot on the ground, and therefore up through your knees, your hips, ribs, shoulders, all the way up through your neck. Whatever you're habitually doing, your body will take that shape. Your body won't let you sit cockeyed and have, your head tilted to one side. So it balances your head, but then it also makes sure that you're balanced on your feet, and it will choose a tripod and then adjust everything, forego everything else in order to make sure that happens. So if it needs to crank your left hip super high to make up for that huge bunion on the left side, it doesn't care, because it will balance your head and make sure that you're looking eyes on the horizon.
So then you're zigzagged, essentially, like, left
all the
hips
way up.
out, right shoulder, whatever, in order to make your head even.
Yeah.
Bingo. And a lot of times it'll explain that shoulder pain that you feel, and you're stretching, and it doesn't seem to ever let go. That may be a necessary thing because of something like, you can't touch that right heel. If you could touch the right heel, I could give you permission to have your shoulder sit that way. But until that's the case, I need to protect you from falling over to the right.
And if you walk in high heels or elevated shoes for long enough, your Achilles can shorten and
stay short.
Stay shortened. And
next time you go barefoot, you get punished for it,
Yeah.
and then you think, "Oh, this is wrong for me." When really your habits have made something very healthy wrong for you.
Or if you say you do that long, all the time, you wear high heels, and then you go to jump or run, and then you have a shortened Achilles, and then you're loading that shortened Achilles and that tight Achilles. Like, man, that's a recipe for freaking disaster.
Good old tear.
Yeah, that's how you tear your Achilles tendon.
Yeah. And I'll share my personal experience, success story of why I'm passionate about it is I had a little bunion on my left outside pinky toe, which was progressively getting worse, and it freaking hurt, and I also I didn't connect this at first, as it wasn't a motivation. It was something when I started doing it long enough, I just noticed it. But when I would stand, say you're at the amusement park or just anywhere standing, I was a trainer, my lower back would always hurt, to where you're like, oh, I gotta bend over. You're just trying to work it out, and you're just it just feels really tight. Until then, eventually, when I switched to flat minimalist shoes, got used to it over time, I started to notice. It's one of those things you don't notice at first, but then you realize, wait, my lower back doesn't hurt anymore.
Right.
I just
hits you one day.
stand for long periods of time, and I connect it to the shoes, going from Nikes all the time. And then the other thing was, how you'd get a pair of Nikes. I always wear Nikes, and I have wide feet in general, wider than average, and then Nikes are very narrow and cramped, or you get new shoes, and then you have to break them in, and you wear them, and you can't wait till you get home to take them off, and you're just like, oh. But then when I first got wide toe box flat minimalist shoe, wore it for the first time, and went a whole day and walked, and then you didn't have that feeling I can't wait to take these off, and then you do, it's just normal. And then I realized, oh my gosh, and it's the most logical and simple concept ever. Really, the concept with minimalist shoes is that they are foot shaped.
Yeah, this is how your foot's supposed to be.
And you're thinking well, duh, why wouldn't you? Shouldn't all shoes be foot shaped?
Really
and the reality
intuitive.
is they should. And the reality is
They're not.
They're shaped to look good, narrow, pointy toes, and that's not how our foot's shaped.
That cramped feeling of breaking in a pair of shoes, where your foot just feels like it's tight, your arch hurts, and you're like, okay, well, this will wear off after a couple of days.
Yeah,
Dude, I never get that anymore.
I know, I'm starting to get-
ever, and I actually didn't think about it until now.
And here's the thing: you break into it, but like Ben said, there's a whole cascade of events that helps you break in with it.
every joint helping you
so
break
like,
into it.
your feet now feel better and it's not achy because every other joint had to compensate for that.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's a cool story too, because that is like, you might have, being, if you were less educated, might have thought, I have a back problem. Like I have a back, like my back hurts all the time when I'm just standing. But instead you go train. Doesn't hurt when you train.
And it makes sense,
Didn't hurt
right?
when you
Like
slept.
I'm standing, heels elevated, hips have to jut forward, lower back starts, because of that position.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden heels go down, hips roll back under my shoulders. There's no
And it's more relaxed.
I mean, and there is a direct correlation in at all times in gait where your heel bone, your calcaneus, your hips, and your head are all doing the same thing. So if you can imagine your heels rolling forward, that's what your hips will do, and that's what your head will do. So if this opening of the toe box puts pressure on the back of your heel, if your heels can roll back, your hips can roll back. That is just a balance. That's a universal thing for every single person that you could even, self-check. You stand up, you see where your weight is on your heel. The likelihood that your hip is taking on the same shape is very, very high. And if you want to kind of move them together for maximum effectiveness.
Yeah. And it was funny. I was having a discussion with Diego, and I think he just wanted to argue. You know how sometimes you just take the counterpoint? Yeah. So I was talking. I was like, man, I can't believe I'm waiting for someone. Because then in my thought process, a lot of this is generated just from habit, fashion. This is what people are used to. So I'm like, well, in athletics, that can take a down seat. Performance outweighs all that. So it blows my mind that no one's really came out with cleats and athletic shoes.
Dude, I've been waiting for that.
That have a wider toe box and stuff.
Yes.
And so then Diego starts arguing that, well, he was thinking in his personal just thought through that he can cut better with the more narrow toe box cleat. And I was like, dude, there's no way. That makes no sense. Because at the end of the day, you're talking about a deformed foot.
That's not as stable.
I just didn't see it. So
if you could maybe prove that you could cut better in the moment, that's great. But the wear on your ACL
and that was my thing.
Going to be.
But over time, like we saw, like with someone like LeBron James,
yes.
we were looking.
Oh man, look at his feet.
You ever see his
bro.
feet? Look that.
If
up.
you haven't, stop what you're doing and pull up a picture of his feet.
We'll give you like 30 seconds.
And marvel at the fact that one of the best athletes in the country has feet that look like that.
Yeah. And they showed a bunch of other basketball players, same thing. And then when we were sharing this, Ben mentioned right away, like the downstream effects that has on like your ankle tightness. And then literally like a week and a half later, he has that high ankle sprain, which is a common thing from your toes being all tight and cramped like that. But yeah, so even if there was an acute
benefit,
100th, you can cut a little better. Still, at the end of the day, like LeBron James, whether he had a minimalist wide toe box shoe or regular, like he's going to be the best basketball player in the world, right?
True.
So I don't even see where the performance benefits enough to be the difference of a kid being a D3 scholarship and a D1. It's just not going to matter.
Right.
And then you could argue the long-term functional benefits of having a healthier foot with a healthier shoe are going to outweigh the fashion, right?
True.
Now, you can't argue in LeBron's world. Now that I think about it on that level, fashion is a big role. Like, because you get $1 million shoe contracts and people want to buy what's perceived as the best looking shoe.
But they can make weird cool because they're such a big deal.
Like you look at a pair of Yeezys and you're like, oh well, that's cool.
Looks like a pair of socks with a sole on it.
Yeah, as ugly as those are. Well, all you need is someone famous to say this is cool.
This is it.
Yep.
And
then it's the trend, and then it's the. I mean.
Yeah. And even with the athletes and the cleats, like, you look at football, baseball cleats, track shoes. They actually don't have any heel elevation because you're normally not on your heel, right?
Yep.
Like you're sprinting, you're on your toes. So really, it's just like these super narrow toe boxes, Yeah. If someone just made a wider
toe box with some Jordans,
so
bro.
your foot could splay.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's somewhat of a side tangent.
I think it's relevant.
It's valid though, yeah.
So now let's talk about though too. There is someone. So let's even role play.
Ooh.
Get more comfortable.
Yeah, you are walking. Someone does see your shoes. They're interested, which is fun because it is a conversation starter, I guess. Because you forget.
You don't need any more of those, man.
And this person's like, oh, yeah, I need arch support. And yeah, they're 50 years old and they've been wearing tennis shoes since they were 5, right? A lot of times you can't just jump now right into, I'm going flat, 0 drop. minimalist shoe,
Right.
there can be consequences to that.
Barefoot is maximum challenge for your foot. I mean, it is kind of like I don't know. I guess in my world, like pressing the 90s or something.
Yeah,
it's the highest level to get to.
It is. You can't. It's not going to get much like tougher than that because your foot actually has to articulate. And again, just to simplify it into the two shapes. And if it can do that, you are blessed with the benefit of mobile hips and mobile back and all the way up the line. But if you have lived in arch support for 50 years, to just jump into barefoot, you're going to run into problems. Again, you haven't pressed anything. You pick up the 50s right away.
Yeah, you have a higher
You got
risk
shoulder
injury. Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So there is kind of a training that's necessary if you are going to jump that way.
You got to earn it.
And maybe you don't start with just walking around barefoot all the time. Maybe you do go to even like a Vans or Chuck T's, and then you graduate to a Zero or a Splay.
Or you just wear them a little bit, right? Maybe around your house. Or just go barefoot around your house in the morning.
But for your walk, you throw your arch support shoes on.
Yeah.
So because you're going to be doing something a little bit more intensive. So, and then as you ease into it, then you
go on
try
a
a
shorter
walk.
walk, with
Bingo.
shoes.
Yes. And it's appropriate physical challenge in the same way. And that's the most important thing to understand is like the appropriate physical challenge is the catapult to being as healthy as you can be. You want to work your foot out, your joints in your foot out in the same way that you want to make sure that your shoulders are working well, that you're working chest and back one day. Your foot joints should not be neglected. They need the same type of meet me where I'm at and then take me a step further. So
Yeah, I feel like they are neglected. We just put them in shoes and forget about them.
slam. Yeah.
Well, and I think people are realizing it because when you look at like the barefoot influencers in these accounts, you see how fast they're growing and how many of these companies are popping up. Obviously, like it's eventually going to whittle down to the best ones.
Of course.
But in the last 5 years,
It's gotten huge.
it's completely different. I mean, the options now to before.
Oh, they're way better.
So you're seeing that is becoming more norm. And honestly, most of the people that comment on mine, and again, I guess no one's really going to come up to you and say your shoes are ugly, but like they normally think they look cool and they're interesting and they ask questions about them, right? So I think people would, are more just interested and they just don't know enough, or they maybe associate. Yeah, it used to be the Vibram 5 fingers, right?
Yeah, and they don't want to be the 5-finger weirdo.
Yeah.
I got to tell you about this. I don't know what the company is. I bet you they're gone now, but there's this company that sold, I don't know, you guys might remember it.
Ben,
Metal
I will never
You
forget
remember
this.
those?
Ever.
I remember metal
I remember.
infused, and it took me forever to get them.
Yeah, they're like chainmail.
They were like chainmail for
Yeah.
your
And you're like, these are going to change the game. Like,
This is awesome.
Because you can wear them around everywhere, be barefoot basically.
Yep.
And then like the first day you wore them,
I got like holes in them.
Or you stepped in a puddle?
I ripped holes in them. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was not comfortable to be wet in those shoes, in those socks either. But they're just developing, like 5 fingers and metal socks, and now they've come out with some.
Now it's like way better.
A little bit.
Way better. The shoes look better now.
Yeah.
I know we're partial to Vivo barefoots, but like I think those are some of the best looking barefoot shoes in the game.
Yeah.
Some of them still look like clown shoes, like some brands, but
Yeah.
if you're into that, like some people love it. Like I personally think that a lot of the Zeros look like something you would wear at a bounce house, but like so still,
Yeah. But Zeros have some of the best reviews.
they're great shoes.
Yeah.
XERO 0. From all people that use them, and I know Ben, you've
you've
it's
got-
probably my
y'all have
favorite.
those
It's
Zeros,
just their
and,
options and
for price, they always have fairly priced. But yeah, if we're on a scale, I would say personally for aesthetics, they're not my favorite. But across the board, I don't think they're horrible.
No.
But so when people normally ask, I actually recommend them in the top as far as
Them and Vivos are usually my two to tell people.
yeah. And if you're considering, function, price, and aesthetics, Vivos are really expensive.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Actually, most people Zeros.
They're more affordable, more reasonable.
Between all of them are great, but and they're one of the bigger ones now. So Zero, Vivo Barefoot.
What other ones are
Probably
there?
the biggest.
is it Soft Star? I think
Soft
Star,
Star. Those
yeah.
are like
Yeah.
handmade leather.
I would. I don't know. Yeah, like they definitely do the trick, but I got some slip-ons there, and they kind of fell apart on me a little bit. I mean, I'm pretty rough with that stuff. I go out there and I do
Same.
it, but at the same time, like you got to hold up to it. And I've never had a problem with the Zeros, But Softstar has some. They have some different options.
Those seem
some
cool.
Cool looking shoes.
I follow them, and you can kind of get them. I think can't you get them custom?
Yes.
Like whatever
Hey,
colors
yes.
and patterns and all
Did you
that.
see these, man?
What do you got?
I don't think I sent these to you.
No.
So someone,
I mean,
they made some
that's dope.
What?
like some Jordans.
Hey, all right.
And like, dude, the only
Let's
difference
also-
is that
and
That's
look-
awesome
look at
problems
the-
right there.
let me see it.
Wow. Top down view looks good.
Like
So-
it doesn't even look bad.
There's an account, Anya's Reviews.
Anyas.
Anya's Reviews, Anyas. It's almost as bad as
Polo.
She's one of my favorite accounts, and yeah, she reviews all the barefoot shoes, but she will compare them to common shoes. She even does cool posts where, and a lot of the women will like this. She'll take Instagram influencers, like their whole outfit, and then she'll basically take a picture in almost the same outfit, but then replace the shoe with like a barefoot shoe equivalent. To
That's
kinda
a cool idea.
be like,
That's-
hey, like
You can still look like you want.
And
And-
function and feel good.
exactly. And she has one with this new company, Balinka, and they basically made like a kind of like Nike Jordan type looking shoe.
I think it looks pretty good.
Looks great. You could almost argue it just looks a little different in a good way. That's more enticing.
Yeah, I actually don't think that looks dumb or
I think they
anything.
have a black and white one too. But yeah, here's one with like the comparison, of the shoes or the outfit with the different shoes.
Nice.
And I think that's the thing that it will move it forward, is because that is the ultimate driver, is fashion, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
no one wants to look.
That's why.
like
That's
a
why we're
goof.
wearing shoes. Yeah.
So that's what's going to get people to flip. These all white. I'm a sucker for the all white.
You are, man.
Whenever I see it,
All white's such a dangerous
white.
game
So
for me
clean.
because I know my
Yeah.
lifestyle, and my lifestyle is not clean.
It's not all white clean.
Like
right?
I got these, my like tie dye Vans are
Those are
like
my favorite.
they're pretty
yeah.
white,
there you go.
but
There's the ones you got, right?
I'm waiting. Grays, baby.
Oh yeah.
Those are the ones I showed you the other day.
Yeah.
So Will and I have been talking, dude, at least 2 years.
It's been forever. We've been trying, like wishing
We were
for
like, someone needs to make like a Vans Converse
just a canvas casual barefoot
casual
shoe.
barefoot shoe that looks like those shoes. And then they finally did. And
I hope they live up to it.
it's on her reviews too, and she literally has it compared. Like on the left, it's the minimalist one, and it says foot shaped. And on the right is the Vans that says bunion shaped. And then there's a foot in the middle, and they overlay the shape of one shoe, and you see where like the foot doesn't fit,
Yep.
Yeah.
and then the overlay of the shape of the other shoe, and yeah, your whole foot fits in there. So yeah, if your foot technically, as it's your stand and it's splayed, doesn't fit in a normal shoe, well, what does that mean? Like, yeah, you're literally forcing
you
it
have to
in there.
adjust the pressures. That tripod and it's
What's the tripod for everybody?
Yeah, the tripod that will functionally turn on and use all of your hip muscles, your back muscles. It really give you full access to your system. Is the little spot behind your first big toe bone, right? So the tip of your big toe, follow it down to the actual ball of that of the big toe, and then just underneath it there is 1 point. Then you do the same thing on your fifth toe, and then the front of your heel bone.
If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's 1 scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out. If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's one scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
Those 3 points at all times need to be active, and if not, actually on the ground, or in that case, in the shoe's case, like being able to press into the shoe. If you can't fit your toes, you're going to have to scrunch them, and you will have to sacrifice, at the very least, the first or the fifth. Depending on how much support you have in your heel, too, you can lose the pressure, or it could move actually too far back, and you'll lose the front of that calcaneus. And because those 3 points are just hardwired all the way up, when you lose those points, you lose access to, real simple one, heel and your glute. Okay, so you lose the front of your heel bone, you're going to lose access to the glute. And, you lose access to your glute, you're going to lose power production. You may even lose stability.
You're probably going to lose your life.
You're going to lose
it's
your
the key to a long life.
That's the next thing, right?
You got to have
the hip stability, then
you die. You don't have hips.
you collapse.
Ooh. Those are dope.
So those 3 points, and keeping those, that's definitely a take home, is to, I guess, understanding, I guess the condition of your own feet, being able to stand up and feel all 3 points with equal pressures, being able to keep those, exercise with those. That's definitely the best piece of advice that I can give as far as foot function in general. Again, they make 2 shapes, but they have to make those shapes while keeping those pressures. And if your shoe disables you from feeling any one of those points, it is you're in that perpetual loop of needing more cushion and losing more function of your foot.
And that was the natural progression, I think, for most people, is they have some barefoot shoe companies that have more cushion. And it's better to go, get that wider toe box, get that 0 drop, but then go with one that has more cushion, right? But then over time, you kind of want to move to less cushion, because one of the real magic is being able to feel the ground and getting those things.
That's key.
Yeah. One brand I recommend to people is like a starter is Lems. Lems.
I don't even know if I've heard of that.
You've seen them. They have a lot. They have.
I remember
They have.
You don't know me, man.
0 drop.
saying that.
Wide toe box, but they all have like a pretty common sole.
They got that middle ground.
It's cushiony. Like it feels to me like I have a couple pairs, and it feels like wearing, but as far as the cushion, like a normal shoe. But for me personally, it's like too much cushion.
Yeah.
Unless I was maybe doing something extra.
Yeah, these are.
You go on kind of a hike that you wouldn't.
Yeah.
And maybe that would actually.
And that's what I have. They have some boots.
Yeah, these hiking boots look.
They're dope.
Yeah, they look pretty cool.
And honestly, if I was to say my most comfortable shoe with the classic comfort, meaning like cushion and just, it's my Lems.
Do you have those?
Yeah.
Those are the ones you have? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I got the leather ones.
Fancy.
I know. So, but then like Vivo Barefoot is like.
No,
there's nothing. It's basically enough rubber sole to prevent. It's supposed to be like puncture proof, you know,
Yeah.
and to kind of like just protect your feet. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you and then they have like a little 4mm insole, but you can take that out obviously. And if you go without the 4mm insole, it's basically like you're barefoot. I mean, I'll step
Yeah.
on a pebble and it kind of hurts my foot.
Yeah. That's
you
a good thing.
You
Yeah.
got soft
we,
feet,
we
man.
need that.
And that's where, and that ultimately too is one reason of like, why we do need shoes in today's society, because of like the grounds we walk on. It's probably not ideal to walk
There
around
might
on
be
concrete.
needles in that parking lot.
Yeah.
Or there might be
Yeah,
you
or
know,
glass. Like you still like do want to
Yeah.
protect your feet so you're not getting ripped open or
Yeah.
anything like that.
It's true.
Because remember, believe it or not, there wasn't roads and concrete everywhere.
Right.
There was
Just-
soft grass
Yeah.
and ground and
Hold on.
dirt, right?
Hold-
So
hold
there
on a
was
second.
a little natural give there. So yeah, for all the people listening, I know, like we've kind of do need shoes, but it's really because of reasons that we
created.
created.
Yeah.
So like anything else, that's the benefit of, I think, the internet and this interconnectivity. You know, before we were so at the mercy of, like all the power was super dispersed, right? And I say power, like, I mean, this is in a lot of realms, right? But with products and stuff, right? Like it's like, well, yeah, these are the companies in control.
And this is what
They're
you
making
get.
money and profit. They're not
Improving the quality just to
in what's innovating.
right.
You know, whereas now with the internet and Instagram,
You have
and
to.
you can kind of come up with an idea and create this little company, and it can catch steam. The sad thing is that's what's happening, and then the big companies just kind of like steal this stuff and take it over anyways. But at least it's still
driving innovation.
it drives innovation, yeah. So you're seeing, in my mind, yeah, like, hey, we're working towards a completely better shoe. And if you then this became the norm and you have a little kid, these are the shoes they start to wear.
Yeah.
20, 30, 40 years, there's going to be less bunion problems and less foot problems,
Yes.
which then leads to less back problems and knee problems. You know, that's huge.
And it does happen to kids as far as you put them in a certain type of shoe and their foot very quickly adapts. I mean, they're kids; they
Yeah, their
can
bones
quickly
are
adapt
like-
out of it. But yeah, I mean, it's immediate. I mean, I would say like compensations can start really early, but I mean, about 2 years old, those movement patterns are now kind of in, and they're using them. They decided kind of, I throw a little bit better with this arm than this arm, or this is kind of how I walk or propel better off of this leg than this leg. And so what kind of shoes your kids have actually does make a very big difference on how they're going to run when they're older. It's definitely something to consider. And those feet they're ready to move, so they don't need a ton. They really don't.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, I get fashion, I get how they look, but yeah, options are coming out now. That's the whole
well, that's
point.
Vivo. I think that's their biggest passion is actually
The kids' shoes.
The kids' shoes, you know,
Yeah.
and like,
They've got a good amount of kid shoes.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Because
that's
it just makes a big impact. So, and when you watch kids run and move, and you know the way they sit and squat, and watch them sprint, and the way their heel hits the ground, their heel strike, you see how we're supposed to move, right?
Yes.
And then you watch an adult do those things,
you're like,
oh,
"Damn."
Oh my God,
But the
what
reality is, we just become dysfunctional from some of our modern stuff, and the reality is we should still kind of be moving the way the kid does.
Exactly.
Right? So why is the kid moved better? Well, they just haven't worn shoes for 30 years yet.
It's true.
They've only maybe had 6 years and haven't developed as much dysfunction.
Kids don't cheat when they move. When they're babies and they're figuring out how to actually move their leg or roll around on the ground or crawl, they won't cheat unless they are, forced to by parents who are like, you're going to walk, all right, I'm going to lift
You
you
hold
and
them
make you.
up or put them in those things where they like, it holds them up.
Oh, and stabilizes for them. Oh
Yeah,
my,
and they're running
exactly.
around.
What a nightmare to skip a step like that, because since the dawn of time, we figured out how to walk because we took
You go through these
X, Y,
steps.
Z steps.
You took baby steps.
You took
Stop it.
Oh my goodness.
We got to shut it
Where do you
down.
think that
See you
came
guys
from?
next week.
Yeah, so no, but it is. It's a developmental process that occurs and they work so hard and get so frustrated because they can't lift their head up at 3 months old. I mean, it's a whole and that sequence of events actually, I mean, to get a little technical, gets stored in your spinal cord and is hardwired to things like your heel pressure, hardwired to even things like hand pressure when we're crawling. You got a shoulder problem, you rewire that stuff, and you don't learn a new motion. You relearn the motion that you earned when you were a baby. That's the most effective rehabilitation tool that they're kind of like emphasizing now. But that's the whole point.
And you see the same thing in the nutrition world, right? What you feed when you're a baby affects your brain wiring of the foods you may be preferential to, right?
Super.
So they always,
awesome.
Some people are a little more extreme, but they're like, if you make the baby's first food a sweet food, you could wire them to have preferential, preference for sweet foods, right? So it can be, but obviously maybe, one moment like that seems maybe a little extreme to me, but in general, if they're getting like processed sugars and, these heightened foods with natural flavor, then they're going to be wired to want those foods. Then they have more natural foods and they're just not going to taste the same. And they're always going to, and then, next thing you know, they're 3 and all they'll eat is Hawaiian punch and goldfish, right?
It's not
because we're wired from a baby of getting that kind of stuff.
Like, this
right?
is what you need.
So they have these heightened, or you can almost say deadened senses. Like the natural foods just don't hit right.
It's not enough.
And again, it all comes back to these subconscious wirings, movement, and our thoughts and our feelings to when we're super young.
I mean, we don't know that much about the brain, right? But the thing is that we're like over the last 20 years, like we're learning a lot more. So it kind of runs everything. And if they do fire together like that, then they wire together, and that's how we are. And that's a summary of all behavior in general, right? Mm-hmm. Is that we've associated like, I was hungry as a kid, I had this sweet thing. So why wouldn't I be more predisposed to want sweet things? That's what my brain has figured out. And that is the other kind of rule, is that if that is streamlined or something that wiring becomes very strong, your brain will completely take resources from the other things like wolfing down vegetables or something, whatever the process that takes, and says, I don't need this. I don't need this wiring. I don't use it at all. It doesn't happen. I don't get challenged. And then when I get challenged with it, I say no immediately and I don't have to continue it. So I'm going to feed into that wiring of, I just need a bunch of sugar, as opposed to, and it goes, the same with movement, foot movement, any type of behavior could follow that same logic.
Yep. I mean, if you even look at our natural wiring, to touch on the food a little, at the same time, like kids do, there's a reason they don't crave a ton of vegetables and bitter foods, because they're not calorie dense and they are growing, right? So their natural wiring when we're younger is, we actually have a more disdain for bitter food, because in general, bitter food is less calorie dense. So then, but where we go wrong is we almost go too far to the extreme. Hey, this kid has tons of processed food. But the reality is there's still other foods that are calorie dense that they can eat, right? Like, it's funny because, we always talk about beef and rice, but when we have a lot of parents who struggle with their kids eating, we've had so many parents comment, man, they love beef and rice, right? And it's like, it's not a ton of fiber, and there's no bitterness, and it's calorie dense. It's protein, carbs, fats, but it's also whole food. It's not going to be a janky wiring, kind of like like a soda and a Hawaiian punch and stuff like that. Don't necessarily have to force your kid to eat like a 37-year-old, right? Because they're wiring and they're not going to love all the bitter foods, but that doesn't mean just make it super easy, go for the packaged convenient stuff.
Give them a chance.
Them a chance to be able to regulate their appetite, Yeah. And that's the great thing with even calorie-dense whole foods is a kid will stop when they're full. Now, if it's unprocessed foods, they may not stop because it's like
recognize that,
ping in their brain so much that they just want more and more, right? But same thing with your movement, So now think about this. If a kid has been jammed into tennis shoes and starting to have dysfunctional movement and not getting that brain feel with the ground, maybe they don't want to go exercise and play and run because it doesn't feel that great. Right.
All of that whole reward center of that hard work, and then that kind of tiny reward, but pretty substantial and probably full body reward of I've done all this stuff. That natural tired, that natural hunger, they don't even get to experience that, or it doesn't become. I guess that wiring doesn't become strong. Then actually hard work doesn't make any sense at all. If you only talk about the first portion of it, it sounds terrible. I'd rather do the easy thing.
And think about it, as we age, like that's the biggest problem. No one wants everyone's achy and hurts, and then they go.
Yeah, why would you want to do anything if you hurt all the
Yeah,
time?
physical stuff, and it still hurts. It's like, I don't want to do this, right?
Right.
So if we're kind of starting that at a younger age, now all of a sudden the kid's 12 and they hurt all the time because they're.
It happens.
I feel like that's more common now.
It is.
Like less activity and
more. So you're more overweight.
I'm on a screen. I'm throwing my head forward. Like that one's
that messes everything up.
definitely prevalent all over. I mean, I don't know. You don't go anywhere in public without the child that has an available screen if they just won't calm down. I mean, you see it all the time. And so that neck posture is going to be hardwired from a very early age. I feel like I didn't start really staring at screens like habitually until like 12, 13 because
Same.
that's, I don't know, this is like our generation. That's when we
But
got
even then it was TV screens.
a little bit of TV, which
So
you're back on the couch or
looking forward versus
like
down.
looking downward in front of you and at a small screen to boot.
I feel like when I was 13, I got a computer, and that's when I really started to
the head.
drive it forward.
Yeah. But even then, it's like it was so slow. You weren't on it that much.
No.
It took forever.
Yeah.
There wasn't that much information on there. You know, you would maybe play video games.
Minesweeper.
Classic.
Yeah.
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 But,
and even we talk about that. That's goes back to the feet, right? Like this alignment gets thrown off.
And so
all the way down to the shoes we
Yeah,
wear.
the whole system's just
give them the best chance by at least checking in on that and seeing, okay, is the shoe that I'm putting them in disabling one of those 3 points? And then you'll know.
Yeah.
And you can already start to make better decisions. And there are becoming, more and more companies out there that you could actually, shop from, make a choice, make something actually look a little bit better, and then give yourself and your kids some.
And you know what's funny? So it's like, especially if we don't want to make a change, like, hey, you can make a big difference by putting your kid in those shoes. But then I think back, could you imagine when you were like 10 years old going into 6th grade?
like, hey, you got to wear these.
shoes.
You want them hot Jordans, and then
And you get some Bobos.
I just realized, like, I don't even know how this happened, but I would be like that granola weird parent, right?
Yeah, same.
And I'd be like, no, you need these barefoot minimalist shoes with a zip, with a Velcro thing that latches across the foot. Dude, there's no way.
No way. You get run out of school if you wear those.
But who knows? Maybe nowadays it's like more.
Maybe it's different.
Cooler.
I don't know. Kids are still mean in middle school.
Yeah.
You had to have whatever those shoes were. The answer, I think, is we got to get the celebrities on board, right?
We have to.
Because now if it's cool,
Yep.
then everyone would be all about it.
Who can we
It'd be
get?
that easy. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
hey, look at
Access.
this. I saw the thing recently. Did you see with Mila Kunis and what's his name? Ashton Kutcher. It came out like they don't bathe their kids every day because they're like, you don't need to shower every day. And then Jake Gyllenhaal, what's his name, came out and he kind of was like, I don't shower every day either. So now there's like this whole thing. Then The Rock came out and he's like, I shower 3 times a day.
I still don't think he's human.
All these women were like, that's a whole bunch of man to clean.
Oh, my.
Zaddy. And, but it was, and I was like, okay, we see where this is going.
Yeah.
And then, so.
But it's cool that
but think about it,
conversation
now all of a
started.
sudden people were probably like,
You sent
Like,
me that
maybe I
celeb
don't need
that
to
was
do that.
walking around New York City barefoot.
Yeah, that was,
I don't remember what.
Hugh Jackman.
That's right. Yeah.
He would be a barefoot
He's just
guy.
chilling
And I was like, there's Ben.
There
like,
it is.
And this dude is,
celeb just making it normal that you know what, in this certain circumstance, again, maybe not extreme like I'm going to Target, but whatever I'm doing, I don't need shoes.
He's
for.
going
I'm
to
gonna
get coffee.
Challenge my foot. I'm gonna challenge my foot. Yeah.
You know the problem with being barefoot is it makes you look homeless. But
Yeah, that's exactly what I
the
thought.
only other way. So here's Hugh Jackman.
That's why you need the suit, right?
Yeah,
And then-
Well, or you'd be a multi-millionaire.
Uh-huh.
You can look homeless if you're super rich, right? So,
Right.
That is true.
But now if you get Hugh Jackman or probably someone like a little more hip, get a Kanye. He's probably not
I don't know
hip now.
Kanye. I wouldn't want him to represent the barefoot
you don't
movement.
follow him.
Nah.
You get someone that's like an influencer in that
Yes.
world, and they have some Vivo barefoot. You don't even have to say nothing.
No.
Just have him wear them.
They're wearing them,
Vivos. Wow.
and people see them when they're on stage,
Like,
and then
oh,
they
damn,
ask,
that's
and then
dope.
it booms,
They look good. And
Yeah.
I feel good. My back doesn't hurt as much. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. This is a thing.
That's all we need.
Like that's what it's gonna take. Why wouldn't they? Like why not?
Well,
even
and
like
that's-
you feel like for me,
Isn't
all it
it
takes is
inevitable? Like-
you put them on and go for a walk and come back.
Tell me
and
they
that's
don't
like
feel better.
That's all the selling you need.
Yeah.
So it's like
We
Do
just
this and start your own
we
company.
just
I
got to
don't know.
swap their shoes out
Yeah.
one day without them knowing.
Exactly. Like, hey, put these on.
like with those Jordans, like that are like that look almost exactly the same, but that's all we got to do.
Like, just wear them. Try
Yeah.
it.
They look just the same.
That's it. I know those people listen to our podcast.
Yeah, so
Obviously.
for all the celebrities out there
Yeah.
Listening.
put on a pair of Vivos.
Walk.
You can afford them.
And for anyone that wants to help us start our
Movement.
cleat company.
Oh yeah.
We're looking for investors.
Yeah.
Yes.
And people, someone that can
Athletes
make
that can
them.
hit,
Basically
yeah.
someone that can do everything.
Yeah. We have the idea, but we need someone to do everything else.
That can sew and create molds,
Ship. The whole
do
deal.
all the work.
Yeah, whatever.
But
Someone's got to have the ideas, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully, we just want to plant that seed.
Yeah. That's a good one because it is. It's just, nobody like necessarily, I don't know, doesn't want to take care of their feet, but it's the last thing on your mind. Even though,
or you've never even thought about it ever. Like, you just wear shoes and then you die.
but you're walking around and you're standing on them all the time. Like, it really does. They really deserve
They're your motor.
more attention. They really are.
It's like changing your oil
Yeah.
or your tires.
Tire. I like the tire. Yeah, that makes sense.
You got to take care of it.
Yeah.
Or this is the last most viable solution. We become celebrities and famous.
That seems easier. Yeah.
We have to start
seem
rapping.
easier.
We have to start rapping.
I think I can do it.
What if we literally did that and that was the sole goal? Like, we need to create
The sole goal?
Yeah. The sole God. We create a successful hip hop career to push our agenda.
Of barefoot cleats.
Like Elon Musk.
There's a company, the Soul Goal.
Soul Goal.
Oh, that's the
Goal.
name of our band, right?
The
Soul
movement.
Goal.
The
Yeah.
Soul Goal.
Sounds like,
It's everything.
Yeah.
yes.
I like where your head's at.
Ben's on stage barefoot.
Always.
You know what though? Can you imagine the following he would have? It'd be like a cult following.
Because if I'm on stage, I have money and I'm not homeless.
Yeah, exactly. Little did I know, even though he's on stage, he's still home.
Yeah. It's like, I got up here.
And you're like, have you ever been to Target and they ask you to finally put shoes on, and then you pull out the shoes out of your back pocket? Those are the shoes that. Well, I will throw these on in a pinch.
Yeah. And
I'll
that's-
do it if you're
Hey,
asking.
then it becomes
sandals are the best.
becomes popular just to have them in your back pocket.
That's right. See, and that is
Some back pocket
it's
shoes.
so
Then we
much less
upsell
threatening.
then we make a pair of jeans that the shoes
With a shoe
with
pocket.
the shoe pocket. And then it's the whole thing.
That's a
You
whole
tuck them in your
outfit.
back pocket just in case
Because
you
you
need
know
'em.
how that little pocket on jeans
That's for chapstick,
in
and
the front?
that's it.
But you know what it was originally for?
Cocaine.
I think we might have to Google it. Like a certain coin.
Like a dollar.
To Google it, man. It's something to do with like a coin that you would need
Penny?
for like
Small jean pocket.
for a certain.
Why do
reason.
jeans have that tiny pocket?
You guys be amazed at the different stores that will like ask you to put shoes on or not. But
It's
then
got to be the individual working too.
Yeah.
Probably.
like if they're brave enough to say something.
It was meant for a watch.
Oh, yeah. So it'll, but that was before cell phones, right?
Yeah.
But if you're
That was the original cell phone.
holding shoes, if you're holding shoes while you walk in, no one has ever said anything
Yeah.
because
So
they're like,
okay, well,
he knows what he's doing. Like he's got them.
Hey, this guy's not on drugs or
Yeah,
drunk.
like it's fine.
There's
He's
a
got
plan.
shoes. He's not homeless, maybe.
That's
Yeah.
probably
And then
what it is.
he's not trying
got
to
'em.
start anything.
He's not. No, he's not. He's not
Yeah.
out to fight.
I know you got your life
right
together,
there.
but you're making a decision to
I'm
not
making
wear them.
decisions. Yeah, and maybe if I haven't put him on, maybe maybe something's wrong with him.
And you know
right?
what? Today's age is probably benefits you, right? Where it's like, hey, I don't want to.
I don't.
offend-
Yeah, seriously, he might be one of
Yeah.
the. I don't know.
Or
Whatever.
maybe there's just some reason they have no clue where.
Yep. So they're not going to touch it.
You know what, though? I think a lot of people just don't care. Because they don't get paid enough to care about you not wearing shoes. So just like, whatever. Like,
Hey.
this guy could just go.
So let's
guy's
go
not
back
wearing shoes.
to that. Why have we not evolved? Why is there still a pocket on jeans
For a watch.
for a watch, and we have evolved past carrying pocket watches?
Because it's always been there.
Why is there
And they
not
don't want to change.
a universal pocket on jeans now for cell phones?
I agree.
Because this pocket is not convenient for a cell phone.
Nah.
Right.
That front pocket. The back pocket is not convenient.
Nah.
Now there is some like technical because technical pants don't care. You know, it's like
They just function, baby.
And they got that,
Is that
side pocket.
Is it a look thing?
on
then?
yeah, it's got
It's aesthetics, man.
It's
Yeah.
classic. Like that's what you're used to. That's
Especially with how big cell phones are now. Like, dude, my phone's freaking huge. And we got the same phone, right?
So I mean,
about the
that's
same.
why we have to be celebrities so that we can set these trends. Like, we have a minimalist shoe or nothing, and then we have these
because you
huge
should have a cell
pockets
phone
on our pants,
side pocket
and shorts. Yeah.
What if we're in the stepping stone to where there's not going to be phones anymore?
What if what we're doing right now is just being 40, 50-year-old dads that you just make choices off of comfort and practicality.
I think that's where we're at. We just hit it early.
And really, they've been on it all this. Like, yeah, they wear the wide New Balances.
Hey, those white New Balances?
Oh my gosh,
Like,
that's
we're just like trying to like
inside that shoe.
champion this cause,
It's like
and the rest of the world
clouds.
Could you imagine, like, like we said, 15, 16-year-old you making any decisions based off of function and comfort?
Nah. You just want to be cool.
But maybe now it's
Yeah.
different.
It might be
I
different.
feel like you can reach, you know, like you, like, you know, like the 11-year-old we were talking about before.
Oh yeah.
You know,
He'll go ahead and just
yeah.
step over the line and push, like kind of like no adult will now.
Yeah.
You know, he's he's embodying the opposite.
That's
Yeah.
good. You need those people.
So maybe that's
Yeah.
what we need to do. We need to go
Is actually go ahead and
get like
speak
a
truth.
bunch of 11-year-olds and be like, y'all need to get behind this.
They would too, because you say, well, "Where's my authority coming from?"
Yeah.
It's there. It's just there. Go tell them.
you got this.
Yeah.
They don't want you
They don't
to
need
do
to know.
this.
You
They
like
need
these
to-
shoes? No, they're ugly. Look at that Velcro strap. That's horrible. And be like, no, this is the
It's
future.
good.
This is dope. You're going to wear it.
Yeah. Yep. And then they'll fight people in public.
Velcro strap. Is that where you draw the line? Would you wear a Velcro strap shoe? The pause tells me no.
I mean, oh no.
What's the circumstance?
Here's the thing. Like, why tie? Why yet?
With all the
Laces are a pain in the butt, right? Because you have to. I mean, really, they get dirty easy, and they're floppy, and you got to tie them.
I usually don't tie my Vivos.
It makes
anyway,
100%
so.
chance. Like, why wouldn't you just? There's this technology called a Velcro strap. You eliminate all those problems.
But do you think you look cool enough with a Velcro strap?
Nah. You know what? If I was a musician, I would.
Yeah.
If you're famous, you can get away with a lot more.
Dang.
Or if you're like a musician, you can wear.
But you
this
know
weird,
what?
Like flame.
I wear these
flame
sandals,
shirts.
and everyone made fun of me, and I was self-conscious, and
man.
now I don't care.
Live it.
Yeah.
And now people are like, "Those are cool."
They are cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I'm still gonna give you crap
It's
about
your
wearing
vibe.
sandals,
Yeah.
but they're dope.
so the fall, I got to go with the Velcro
You
strap.
can move. Oh
Hey,
man,
you
just
got-
keep pushing. it.
Are you emotionally ready for the Velcro strap and what
Can you
people are
handle
gonna
the
say about
badgering
you?
that you're gonna get.
That's really the question.
Hey, could you imagine some all-white leather shoes with a Velcro strap? Just
Those are
what would be better,
a
all
lot
white
of
or
things
all black?
that make me uncomfortable.
But all
black
blacks,
shoes.
you.
I don't think we can say anything, but
We all have the same thought.
nah, man. You know what that makes me think of? Like, I used to work at Busch Gardens. It just feels like, or if I feel like servers out there.
Those
you know?
non-slip shoes, man.
You gotta go to all whites. You gotta lean into it.
I feel like either way they're gonna be like orthopedic shoes. So, whatever.
Oh man.
Oh shoot.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's uphill. We're working uphill, but we're
Yeah.
starting with this podcast.
This is the launching pad that gets us to the celebrity status enough to just change the world for the better. Just
That's it. That's all we want to do.
I mean, yeah.
Now I want
Lock
to
us
have Hugh,
up.
I want to have Hugh Jackman on. I want to know, did they just catch
Hugh.
him walking barefoot? Like maybe he stepped out to go get a latte and
Yep.
didn't.
Or is it just what he does?
Can you?
I feel like if you're
tell him,
that
Hugh.
famous, you know you might be seen, and
you make a
you're
decision.
You're going for it.
You're making a decision on it.
Yeah. Yeah. He needs to help us out.
Let's see what he
Hugh. Let's try to
Hugh.
shoot him a text.
said. Hugh Jackman
Reach out.
barefoot.
You're gonna get some real weird results.
Oh, there's a whole wiki feet. Hugh Jackman's feet.
Okay.
It's a whole
See? Here we go.
thing dedicated to feet.
He knows what he's doing.
Weird.
Man, there's something on the internet for everyone. Like you would never even know.
Entire research page on.
Here we go. Here's the one I sent you. This was in 2019. Hugh Jackman goes barefoot while stepping out in Brooklyn. Could you imagine that being
300,000
newsworthy?
likes.
Ben Lengel goes barefoot while stepping out in Newport News.
Every day.
Goes to Wawa to get a pack of gum.
Then
No
under that it says there's a website. God bless male feet.
Hey, that's a whole different ballgame you're stepping into.
Like, where are we going?
Hey, you know what? I think this is really interesting that we search for the same thing and you got different results.
Ooh. What are you
I
doing?
don't want to think about that.
What are they?
Well, there is a Pinterest post that just says dude feet. So
Dude feet.
Let's see if if they interviewed him about this. And they're just showing pictures, man. People must not want to read about it.
Oh, damn.
Can I
Okay.
see his feet?
Hey, so like this has got to be like a thing because in 2014 he was wearing Vibrams.
So he's actually,
He's into the barefoot.
yeah.
So 2014 he was wearing Vibrams. 2019 he had progressed.
He's barefoot.
So he's on Ben's
Think
level.
about it.
He's
Think
on Ben's
about it.
level.
How does it feel to know that you and Hugh Jackman are on the same level with
Like,
something?
With something.
You
It
feel
feels
good?
Yeah, I feel like Wolverine.
Okay. I mean, so yeah, like that's just, dude, that's who he is.
Nah, yeah, he's and I get it. I get it. I was there. I was doing the metal sock.
Can you believe we wore these?
Wow. Those creep me right out too. I mean, I even get the function. I know what you're trying to do, but it's just like,
They just missed it, man.
yeah.
Like there's a point where like what do they say about you?
What is it? It's like when they're making robots and they make them look like humans. There's some ground where it's like if you can't tell it all, it's like, well, okay, I can't tell it all. But then there's that like I want you to actually have metal on you so I know you're a robot. But then there's in the middle,
Yes.
it's like I'm weirded out by your movements now, and that I feel like is
That's exactly what it is. It shouldn't be like that.
kind of look like feet, but they're not feet. And yeah, you're in the middle ground. It's unacceptable.
This is a rabbit hole, man.
Where'd
Oh,
you
boy.
get to? Did you end up on OnlyFans?
Here's how Tarantino's actresses feel about his foot fetish.
Oh,
There's been a famous foot scene in every single movie he's worked on.
Oh wow.
he does seem like the type of dude that would have a foot fetish. He might have.
Then there is a whole
somebody.
thing about there's some celebrities that like they've been on had interviews barefoot and stuff, so they're probably Naomi Watts.
aficionados.
But yeah,
Hey, workout tool of the 2020s, the big new one that's going to come out, and you'll never hear about it because it's not going to make a lot of money for anybody, but it'll be wedges.
yeah. Well, it's already
It's getting
picked
there.
up. Yeah,
Is it getting there? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because those things, if it's a like you get a mechanical pain anywhere in your body, and when I say mechanical, I just mean it's not like I can't breathe right or like I hit by a car and that's why my elbow hurts or whatever, but it's an actual like an overuse, whatever. There is a wedge placement for your feet that will solve that problem. If you're doing a standing exercise,
Yeah.
if you're doing a squat, if you're doing an overhead barbell press where you're standing, you can solve, any mechanical issue with proper wedge placement.
Yeah.
Simply because
Well, we've seen it
You're
with
influencing
squatting,
foot
right?
pressures.
You can take someone who just has never felt good in a squat, and you can watch them squat and be like, it's not great, and it's a lot due to poor ankle mobility, which probably stems from wearing
Wearing
shoes
shoes
since
your
you're
whole life.
4 years
your
old.
calcaneus doesn't move, your ankle doesn't
And
move. No.
but then you throw them in a wedge, which kind of fixes their limiting factor of ankle mobility, and now they have this beautiful squat, and they actually squat, and then their face
They're like,
lights up.
oh,
And
this is
felt
what it's
it.
like
They
to
felt it in their
squat.
quads and their glutes, and they got into that deep knee bend.
Yes.
And
That magical foot
yeah.
pressure gave permission for other joints to move more, and it's just nuts. I mean, again, the level of detail you can go, but I guess you don't even have to. You don't have to know the technicals. Just looking at those 3 foot pressures, making sure you have them, and then wedging them if you're lacking. Your body gives mechanical permission for you to move every other joint.
yeah. And now you're able to get into that full range of motion, which then you get the joint ligament benefits, right?
It kind of fixes
You
stuff.
see the one guy who's been growing.
Freedom.
This is the one thing that's awesome about like Instagram as much negative as there is the knees over toes guy. Like when people
great.
come
Yeah.
out with a great program and they just,
Oh my gosh.
it just catches wildfire because it works, you know, and you see that like that feels good, right? And that dude, you can tell he's super genuine and
He's passionate about it.
yeah, he just it works, right? And he
So
has his
awesome.
program with knees over toes, and a big part of that is using a wedge and getting it into these extreme ranges and not being afraid to. I don't know if he has his post too with his mom, who's in her mid 60s, and has her doing all these things now, which you know most people just avoid. And you know she's gaining, and he had all these knee surgeries, told he couldn't do all this stuff, and then he almost embraces those extreme ranges and is doing stuff they told him he'd never be able to do again.
Right.
And we meet people all the time who have knee problems and surgeries, and the reality is they're just losing it because they don't use it.
And that brings up, I mean, two things, right? The knee over toe thing, that fallacy, that's a bad way to train. It's
And
just
when I
insane.
came up as a trainer,
Yeah, that you didn't do that.
that was like one of those rules.
It was
right?
the rule.
You can't.
You
do
keep
that.
your
Which is-
knee in line
which
with
is-
your ankle, and that's it.
It's-
Which
it-
is so weird to
it-
think about.
It's actually insane because of every single step you take, anytime that you go down a step, up a step, anytime that you do anything, your knee goes over your foot,
Exactly.
over your toes. So why would you not train that?
Yeah.
Then the second thing about,
And it's
about-
kind of like what we said with your Achilles and the elevated heel, right?
I mean, if you're training, I mean, you could actually teach your Achilles to never bend that way if that's how you're training, if that's what you do under load. The second thing about age, I mean, I guess you could throw in the towel at any point.
Most of the
But-
what's considered aging is really just
You quit.
Inactivity. And
you've been alive long enough to not do certain things and lose it, right?
That's right.
You know, or you've been alive long enough to overeat long enough to then bear some negatives that come with that, right? So it's really like, well, how do we avoid these things? It's, you know,
I'll never forget that my knee hurts, and okay, like that knee hurts. Okay, it's just age. Well, how old's the other knee?
Yeah.
It's there's way more to it than you're simply
Then I'm
too old
old.
to do something.
Yeah.
I saw somebody and worked on somebody with wedges to just help her walk, because all she wants to do is do water aerobics and walk pain free. She's 91 years old, and we made changes. I don't know if I haven't heard if that has completely freed her from her pains or anything, but the point is, like, I'm 91 and I want to keep doing this, so I'm going to utilize a new tool, relearn motion of my foot so that I can do this. Like, there's no, I don't know, it's 91. So anybody under that, like, I'm just never going to believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
That you're stuck that way or whatever.
yep.
Yeah.
All right,
Cool.
wrap it up.
there we
Yeah.
go. So challenge yourself maybe to take baby steps.
Baby
Yep.
You know,
steps.
see where you can go barefoot a little more, feel the ground.
Or
Check
get a
those
shoe
pressures.
with a wider toe box. You
Yeah.
know, if maybe you have a.
Yeah, like I would start like limbs again. Has
Yeah,
a little
that's
more
a good
cushion.
one.
They're a good one, and Zero's pretty.
I think
minimal on the
zeros are
cushion, though.
they are, but they're probably
more
one,
advanced.
they're one of the more accessible, right?
Yeah.
Price wise, and they have generally a ton of variety and
Well, and the ones we just got were
availability.
pretty cheap, relatively. 'Cause
Yeah.
that is the negative. A lot of them are expensive, but the Splay, SPLAY, they were like $65 or something like that. So
which
worth it.
compared to Vivos that can be like I don't know, $180
$100,
bucks.
yeah.
and again,
depending.
the thing that's going to blow your mind is it will click forever. Put everything aside. You'll be like, when you wear shoes that are foot shaped, it will be eye opening. You will realize this is how shoes are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. True.
So then from there, it's weighing all the pros and cons of like, oh, well, what is
Price,
my job?
look,
What's accepted? What's
Yeah.
socially acceptable? What do I feel confident
What type of
in?
exercise do I do? Things like that.
Yeah. So hopefully that helps plant the seed. You think about it. Drop any questions.
Yeah, you can ask any of us.
Spread the word.
Hit us up on Instagram. Ben's on Instagram.
The gram.
Ben Lengel, I think.
At
Yeah.
Bengal.
At
Bengal. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Cool.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
As always, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn more, check us out at coastalfitnessva.com or garydeagle.com. We'll see you next time.